evening, everybody. Happy Thursday to all of you, wherever you are in the world. Here in the eastern seaboard in the U.S., it is Thursday when this is getting released. So hope everyone's having a good day in crypto. I am Crypto Kenny. Welcome to Web3 Weekly. So this week, we're going to have some pretty cool topic to go over this week. One of my personal favorites. We're going to be talking about P2E gaming, blockchain gaming, and further development of the space. Last week we were on a panel with three other individuals besides myself. We had Nate, Link, and Darkstar on here, and we were talking about how to define blue chips in the NFT space and what we need to look at as we are trying to differentiate the wheat from the chaff in there, and what makes a good long-term hold and what doesn't. So if you haven't watched that video, you can go check that out. That'll be right up here, the link to it. So definitely go check that out. At any time, if you want to go over any of the information that we're talking about on the podcast here, or anything in previous podcasts, down below in the description section, there will be links to the Alpha Mutant social media, my personal social medias. You guys can come in there. Got a lot of utility and tools on there. So today we have Doktor Funk is with us today.
What's up?
And we are going to be discussing blockchain gaming. We're going to be going into several different topics regarding blockchain gaming. If you've known me for any period of time, or you've been involved with Alpha Mutants for any period of time, you know that we love blockchain gaming and really want to be part of the development in the space. So I thought this would be a really cool little discussion to have with Dr. Funk. So what we're going to do is, at any point in time, and I'll probably have some of his social medias and stuff down below if you guys want to look at anything that he does or contact him in any way. I'll probably have some of those posted down below in the description also. But without further ado, what we'll do here is we'll let him introduce himself, what he's currently working on in the space, what he's got going on in Web3, and just let him give you a little story about how he came into Web3, how he came into gaming, and all that. And we'll start talking turkey. So go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So well, I mean, as far as going into gaming, I've been doing it since before there were graphics. I mean, the first video games I played were text-based adventures on a green monochrome screen where you're like, open door, things like that. So, I mean, as far as that goes, I've been in it for a minute. My venture into Web3, like we talked about earlier, I've been interested in cryptocurrency. I believe in the decentralized aspect of it and what it presents, for the future of mankind, really, since Bitcoin came out. Wasn't smart enough to mine it on a CPU when I could have, but, as COVID hit, and, that gave me the opportunity, since I was, laid off with the rest of us, to really finally do a deep dive, get into the space. Really fell in love with smart contracts, Ethereum, learned everything I could about those, was there for the DeFi summer. Really loving the protocol, but over and over, the things that started to make sense to me more were, you started to see gamified yield farms, and you started seeing like the gamified systems creeping into it, as they went along. And for me, it's someone who really enjoys games and enjoys token mechanics and things like that. I definitely started leaning there, and as things have progressed, and the technology and the utility of the blockchain have progressed, I feel personally that gaming is the next natural evolution of the space. I believe it is the fastest way to onboard non-native crypto users into the space, because let's face it, not everybody is talented at financial maths, right? A lot of people look at charts, looks like spaghetti. It's it doesn't mean anything, and even when you get on the macro sense of trading and things like that and advanced things, it just it's very interesting, but it doesn't make sense. But then you have people like my mother, God bless her, who's 80 years old, and she's got her Coinbase account, and she's out there flipping shit coins and asking me about Shiba Inu and stuff like that. So I mean, it's happening though. But games are something that is pretty universal that everybody can understand. Gamers understand like how to min max their character, or calculating their points that they need, upgrading their armor to this. So when we take that and we apply it to blockchain enabled gaming, and we do it in like in ethical and in a way that makes sense not only for games but for having the blockchain enabled qualities too. I see that as the best path into mass adoption and and just a greater utility for the space. It's like gaming. What was the quote that I heard? Like, gaming doesn't need blockchain, but blockchain needs gaming.
Yeah.
Is a quote that I read in an article. Because it's just it's a faster route. If you pair that with education, and a low barrier to entry and things like that. We could talk more. Sure, we'll talk a little more about philosophy and stuff like that here in a minute. But that's really the long and short of why I'm here and what I think is important with the space. I do advisory for a couple games that aren't quite out there yet. But the one that I'm working with most, you can see the background behind me, is for one-up.fun. It's
Yeah.
a 2D retro styled platformer. We can do if you think of a Super Mario style game, everyone's played Super Mario in their life pretty much if you picked up a controller. So
Yeah.
fun, fast matches. We can get team deathmatch. We can get 10 to 100 battle royale in there, and there's some social metaverse aspect to it too. And I think we're going to run a little demo later in the at the podcast and show you some more details about that. But yeah, that's the long and short of it.
Fantastic. I like that. I like that quote. I hadn't heard that before. That gaming doesn't need blockchain, but blockchain needs gaming. And I think that if you've been in the space a while, you understand that because there. I mean, in the last 18 months specifically, like we saw the rise and or really last 2 years of the rise of these gamified DeFi projects, these gamified
Hmm.
dexes, and all this stuff. And I think that was a precursor telling us that that this is where the space is going is because people like to do those things, right? It's like you know I think that because blockchain technology kind of appeals to a younger generation,
Hmm.
that I think that the gamification of everything, just like we've seen with like the meteoric rise of trading applications like Robinhood, like Webull,
Right.
things like that,
Hmm.
that have lightly gamified the investing. The investing that at one at 50, 60 years ago you couldn't do unless you had a broker and you had to go to that broker and
Right.
do these things.
Sure.
And so I agree with you 100%. I think gamification is going to play a huge part in the development of blockchain. So that's really cool that you said that. I'm going to have to write that down, remember that, because that's a
Yeah,
that's
I'm not
cool.
sure where I read that, but when I did, it really struck out as me is a very hard truth. And gamification. Look, we've been gamifying things since we were, you get 5 stars in kindergarten and you get a you get a
Yeah,
prize on the chart, right? So I
I'm
mean, like it's the way we learn, and it
yeah.
and it's that's why it's a great entry point for Web3 and for learning about cryptocurrency in general.
Yeah, for real. I mean, I still gamify things myself to get through my day. I have to be like, listen, man, if you get this, this, and this done, you might be able to go in there and get one of those donut holes. You know what I mean?
Right.
That type of thing. Sometimes you got to do those
Right.
things to get you through the day.
You have
Oh,
to.
yeah, for
That's the
sure.
only way it goes.
So the first question I want to go into, and I think that where we're at currently in the market, with the macro scene being like it is, I mean, you've got this side of people that think that we've hit the bottom of the bull, I mean of the bear, and we're ready to go parabolic again. You got this side that's saying no, no. There's a lot of like it's really, really convoluted at the moment as to where we think we're
Indeed.
running it. And I think that a lot of faith has been lost and turned into fear in several different sectors of the space currently.
Hmm.
We've seen a lot of CFI and DeFi applications that have crashed and burned. We've seen bankruptcies. We've seen major hacks.
Yeah,
Exploits.
it's Max Payne every day.
Yeah,
Coming out of that, it's just like when does it end? And just even Solana today.
yeah, yeah,
And here we go again. Bridge is being exploited. I mean, Bridge is being just one of the central weakest points in the whole system. And arguably one of the most important uh, parts of interacting with, especially DeFi. And it's the operational security and the needs that are going to be required to make sure these things are working right. I mean, we just can't keep suffering these kind of losses day in and day out within this industry and within this sector.
Yeah, and for sure, and because of that, I think that what we're seeing now is, we're seeing a very risk off, very risk off society, whether we're talking about traditional markets or crypto. And probably the most risk on asset in crypto currently is gaming and NFTs, right? Because
Hmm.
it's the newest thing, it's the newest thing.
Yeah.
So currently, it's not a great landscape for gaming right now, right? Which most people look
No.
at and they think, oh, well, I mean, that's terrible. So, but when someone like myself and someone that's been in the space for a long time, we like these points because
Mhm.
these are the points where you get into something when it's down, when it's in the dirt kicking, but that that thing is coming back and it's going to come back. So whether that's 6 months from now, whether that's 4 years from now, it is
Mhm.
coming, right? And so
Mhm.
I think that there's a huge opportunity right now to be asking yourself the question, where are the players that are going to develop these games that are going to go into the mainstream? Where are my opportunities to get in on NFTs, to get in on venture capital, to get in on investment with tokens or whatever it is? Now's the time to be asking yourself those questions because
Absolutely.
this is the building period. So my first question to you is, and this is probably the biggest slight that is put against crypto gaming currently, and that is the inability of any current game that's out there to for its tokenomics to function properly, right?
Right.
So you have in some great examples. I mean, there's some great examples just right off the top of your head that anyone would know about. So we have Axie Infinity, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
Had a parabolic run because they were like the crypto punks of gaming, right? Basically, so I mean, had a parabolic run, but the tokenomics, the inflationary tokenomics of SLP in game. I mean,
Yeah.
eventually it just crashed to burned. Right now, you have it's down 99.5%, right?
Terrible, and they're
Uh,
hemorrhaging players, left and right. Their whole player base is leaving it. Well, it's the same thing, you look at just regular, money printer go burr kind of thing.
mhm.
You just can't do it. You just can't do it. And this is just, and it just operates on a much shorter time frame until finally the bottom falls out. We just can't. Thetan Arena, I think the same kind of thing. They had to
Yeah.
massively readjust their tokenomics as well.
Well, and after Axie, you saw that subsequent launches of games took less and less time to hit that major inflationary period and crash.
Hmm.
Because Thetan Arena, they only had their day in the sun for like a month or two, right? And then
Yeah, it was really short.
they were gone. And the same with Peg Axie. Peg Axie was really big for all of 2 months, and then the inflation hit them too. So my question to you is, do you see that as, I mean, and not just that's what I see personally. I'm not an expert in the gaming realm, but besides for the tokenomics problem, what else do you see as the major barriers of the development of block 3 or of blockchain gaming? Like, what are the barriers that you see that we have to overcome to get this to where it needs to be?
Well, I mean, aside from just there's like two ways you can come to the gaming thing. You can say, okay, I have been in the crypto space and I'm a crypto developer and I'm used to developing these financial type of environments and I want to wrap a game around it. Clearly, this is something where we see that yeah, it might work for a second. It's just like a yield farm, just like when the yields run out. It's the same kind of thing. We can't do that anymore. I mean, basically. So you kind of have to decouple this like deep financial modeling that you're used to with crypto when you're building games because it's simply not going to work. Here's one thing that we do know: when you talk about crypto games, and building and people putting with the risk on and things like that. You also have to remember to zoom out because the gaming industry at large is like one industry that through COVID continually saw sales, continually saw things rise. Gaming always prevails and gaming always
Yeah.
wins. Now, like the key question here is how do we create something that straddles a line between being able something that is accessible, but also kind of with people with like typical crypto speculators and gamers and people who kind of more lean on that side something that's going to be palatable for them, but also approachable for the mainstream people. And this is the big key. No one's really figured out where the middle line is, where the middle ground is. I think that the first thing that you have to do, one, is just erase everything you know about building a platform on the blockchain. If you're going to build a game, you need to start with the aspect of, like, I'm going to build a game first that's going to be enabled by blockchain, but is not necessarily a crypto game, if you want to call it that. Whatever. We want to be building fun games that are that function and work and are blockchain enabled. And then now how we wrap the rewards and how we wrap the different things in there, that's a whole different story. I personally think that games, well, a lot of them do, and there's nothing wrong with that. If removing just the actual project token from a game is probably one of the smartest things you can do at some point. As hard as that is to say, because you can do things with stables and USD and chasing NFTs. You can trade your NFTs if you work out the fundamental mechanics of the game correctly, and it also creates an easier barrier for non-crypto native people to come in. If they can use their credit card, so you've got a mobile game on Google, and then that can do stuff behind the scenes to help them get their NFTs. There's lots of different stuff you can do, and I think that people just kind of have to decide that, hey, as a developer, or as a person interested in these games, it may not necessarily be I can't work and pay my bills playing this game. We have to decide that that's not the way forward, because it's impossible to keep up, to pay wages. Now, can I come in and play a game, mint some awesome NFTs as rewards that I might be able to trade and sell off to somebody else and make a little bit of my money back, or when I'm done with the game? Yeah. Will this game have some cool reward systems where they might randomly throw a little cash in here and there for us to win and chase? Yeah, that's really cool, as long as it's sustained.
All right, sorry about that, guys. I think we had a connection issue there for a second. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we were talking about starting to build that. Like, one of the problems I think that you've highlighted there is starting that these projects, they're looking at it the wrong way. They're almost going at it backwards. They're like, let's look
Exactly.
at blockchain tech and then add a game to it, instead of let's build a cool game and then integrate blockchain technology.
Right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah, definitely. And you look at, there's so many things that can be improved on by, I was starting to talk about play to earn games, free to play to earn games, or not play to earn, free to play Web 2 games. And the predatory behavior of the game companies. Diablo Immortal's making $1 million a day in microtransactions right now. $1 million a day. There's a guy who spent, I think he spent 100K to max out his character, and now he's like, well, I can't actually get into any of the in-game content because my character's so badass that it won't match make me with other users, right? So
Oh my God.
I'm like, well, I bet you wish you could sell those assets back, right?
Yeah,
We've
no
been
joke.
we've been buying digital assets in games, since the inception. All the terminology that we use, like mining and farming, things like that, all come from like World of Warcraft. It's all
Yeah.
embedded. Gaming's embedded in crypto culture, 100%. And it's really, it's finding that model that beats the big publisher models, that are out there with Web 2, and it's just democratizing the revenue streams, and dipping that back to the players, and finding a way that's both profitable and sustainable, by the game developers that are making these. But there's plenty of money going into gaming right now. I mean, you talk about fear in overall in this industry, but when you look at things, there's still a ton of money being pumped in by large venture capital firms. There's a ton of developers who have left their Web 2 or their big game studio experiences, and have come over and are working on Web 3 based games. You have things like, when you get big retail purchases, like even Nike buying Artifact within the NFT space. It's there, and nobody's going to do that, and no company's going to put that. Square Enix just sold off a whole bunch of their IP, so they could start their blockchain studios up and fund some of that. So a publisher like Square Enix is not going to make a decision like that unless they feel that the future is going to be blockchain enabled gaming. So, as far as those of us who are in this industry and in this sector already, it's kind of like that race against the clock. Like, are we going to do it before the big guys? And I think that we will, because we have an innate understanding of of this industry, of this technology, and of what makes it work. So my bet's on us, before them, kind of thing. But the money's there. It's shifting the narrative and getting people to warm up to the idea. There's a lot of steps it's going to take for as far as barrier to entry, and a lot of it's public perception as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I think also, I think that just like with Web 2 gaming, I think that even when the big players come in, that there are some indie development, games that have done better than than these huge
Absolutely.
studios. So I think we'll see a lot of that. I think you'll have some developers that nobody knows who they are, and they'll come out with with something and that'll just catch on. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting thing. I think it's going to mirror pretty closely what has happened in Web 2. It's just I think that my excitement about it is to see how ownership is going to be presented in these games, and what that's going to do on a revenue side for the producers and for the companies building these things, and then what it's going to allow players to do. Because that's the problem. We still have to have the people that are putting the bricks together. They still have to
Right.
make money. They still have to make money. But
Right.
at the same time, we also have to have an atmosphere that makes a person from Web 2 want to come to Web 3. There has to be some reason, right? I mean,
Right.
if you can play Diablo on Web 2 or Web 3, there has to be a reason for you to do it on Web 3, right? There has to be something there, some
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a big challenge there because traditional gaming media, they really do not like the idea of NFTs, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the fact that there have been a lot of bad crypto games. So I'll differentiate between like a crypto game being like a gamified smart contract platform
Mhm.
with little real gameplay, and a
Yeah,
blockchain enabled game.
yeah.
And I think that there's been a lot of crypto games that have really, altered the public perception. There's been, and even myself, look, there's been some interesting games that I've come across, but then I stop when I go, oh, it's going to cost me $5,000 to dip my toes in here.
Mhm.
Sorry, man, I pass. And and that so and also, you have things like the environmental factor, and so the media, uh, shifting the public perception in the media, especially in the gaming media, is a huge thing that we collectively, as people who build in this space, have to really also work on. So it's not and I think also, the barrier to adoption with crypto games, it's not really, like I talked about the secret sauce, there being like a secret sauce that someone's got to unlock, but it also is heavily dependent on those who are working in this space and building in this space to collaborate,
Mhm.
and you make that collaborative effort to, help push the narrative forward. Find the people that are building the fun games first. You've got to band together, you've got to share your resources, because it really shouldn't be a competition at this point, to see who can do what first, because if you really want it to succeed, you need more than one game succeeding.
Yes.
You need several titles succeeding, you need community, you need to, it's proof of concept as an industry, not just a game that we have to find. We have to find that MVP as an industry to show, like,
Mhm.
hey, this is a sustainable model that works,
Yeah.
and it works from all angles. And I think that, so there's a really, this is a very nascent niche, section of the crypto, and the digital currency, industry, and it is going to take a lot, but I think we're getting there.
I think that leads into my next question pretty well too, because I mean, I agree with you. I think that this is not, back when Axie Infinity had just started to blow up, and you got these games that came after it, it felt almost like they were competing for this top spot, and that's just not healthy for what we need to have done. I mean, the gaming industry is so massive that
Hmm.
we can have a thousand
Exactly.
projects do well and still have plenty for everyone to go around. So it's, I think that's a terrible outlook to have. So, and the thing I was going to ask you, this will lead up to my next question is, so I've played dozens and dozens of blockchain games, and this is just me being honest. I don't like to sugarcoat anything. Like 95% of them just aren't fun. You know what I
No,
mean? There's
they're
just
not.
I played I did enjoy playing Axie Infinity a little bit. It got a little, because I like turn-based games. So
Right,
I'm
right.
a big old school Final Fantasy fan, and
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
turn-based gaming. So I mean, that to me was appealing. But I mean, it was mildly appealing. You know what I mean? Mid-level, and it got repetitive. And I know they're still in beta and everything. But besides for that, I mean, out of the I've probably played 100 different blockchain games, and really all I can say is there's been a few that I've mildly enjoyed. I enjoyed Townstar from Gatla Games. I enjoyed doing
Hmm.
the beta for Mirandus was, all right, but nothing
Hmm.
that like literally was like, man, I would play this like a couple times a week forever because it's just fun, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's a barrier. So my next question to you is, is there anything in the space currently, either active or in development or in beta or anything that kind of excites you a little bit? Is there something going on, or even projects that you're involved with? What kind of games are going on in the space right now that actually get you excited as, hey man, this could actually be something?
Sure, sure, sure. So I mean, like, as someone who, I've been a gamer forever. I love the AAA titles and things like that.
Mhm.
We could talk about those all day. There's Star Atlas and stuff like that, Illuvium, things like that. But there's still quite a long time until we're even going to get to see a beta of that. I think that what's going to come out right now. Well, of course, you've got Midnight Society, which is coming, which is arguably, I mean, looking really, really good, by the way. And it's helmed by one of the biggest Web 2 personalities out there. So I mean, that's looking really nice. I've also come across a couple of just like nice, like, I like being able, like, because I got a little gray in my beard, right? So I don't have time anymore to play like I used to. So some of the things that
Yeah.
I look into myself personally are so either going to be quick and casual, or something I can jump right in and start going pew 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 real fast. And there's a couple web-based browser games that I found. EV.io, which is a first-person shooter that plays super buttery smooth, actually. That's a fun one. There's another web-based one called Mini Royale Nations, which is a little more of a low poly thing, but they both have. I think EV.io's got like 21 maps in it, and
Hmm.
yeah. So we jump. I mean, you could just jump right in, web-based, boom, boom, boom. I don't know if their earning structure, the reward systems are in there yet, but these, fun games to play. Harvest is another nice looking title. I think it's the harvestgame.gg is the website, I believe. This is going to be a really nice, they've got Steam early access. I actually know the people developing that a little bit, but it's very smooth gameplay. It's kind of a third person arena sci-fi battler.
Hmm.
Looking like I think it's going to be a really nice up and coming title. Then, of course, I've got to talk about what I'm doing here, and that's one up fun, which is, exactly that fun, easy to pick up and play, familiar controls, familiar stuff, plus a social aspect. And, we also believe, I mean, if we can just segue into that a little bit, we also believe that the model that OneUp's making is actually, helping to solve some of these problems that we were talking about with inflationary mechanics, needing exponential amount of players, and how to drive an economy properly, because OneUp is built to be a player creator economy, meaning that so there will be not only the retro world game, but we have a social metaverse where people can run around, make their own characters, mint their own characters, import their PFPs and put those on a character. There'll be a drag and drop level editor to make levels, because we know that somewhere out there there's someone who likes modding games and making levels, who's going to put together a level that's way cooler than what the developers are going to. So we'll be able to mint that, put that on a leaderboard. The more ways that we can drive like a nice, rich, player driven economy through true customization, and be able to take fees from that and loop that back in as rewards, we see that as a much more sustainable approach. Not only that, when you open up things like, being able to mod a game. So if you're a gamer, if you're a PC gamer, you know that modding is one of the like biggest things in gaming there is. And how many great games came from modding? I think I don't know if it was League of Legends, but I know, like, DayZ, even PUBG. All these great
Yeah.
games came from modding. So allowing, you may not be a great player. Like, personally, I kind of suck at one up, but I do like I like building games. I like stuff like City Skyline and stuff like that. So I could sit there with the level editor and I could put together a really cool level and still
Yeah.
be able to participate in this ecosystem,
Yeah.
right? And still be able to find a way to earn in this ecosystem. Say my level's good, I min it, gets on the leaderboards, people are downloading it, I'm getting royalties, cool, I win, and I maybe never even actually pick up the game to play.
Yeah.
So this is what we're trying to do do by creating like a much healthier economy by actually allowing players to help build, part of the platform, and that's important. And then not only, so now you've got players, you've got build to earn, guild to earn. So now you can have a player guild or maybe a builder guild. Maybe you're a great artist. I got this guy who's a cool like sound designer, and I'm a level designer, and we all come together and we put
Yeah.
together a really cool like full reskin of a map, and we put that on the thing. So there's lots of different ways to now take place in this game economy, and that's something I think is really cool. And these are some of the weapons from the game behind me, by the way. Just point that out.
Yeah, they look really awesome. I see like
Yeah,
the cross the bows look really cool, and that's like a looks like a portal gun or something to me.
it
Really
does
well
kind of look
done,
like a
man.
portal gun. This wait, here, this way. This is like this is supposed to be a brain gun. So the idea
I see.
here is it shoots brains, and if it hits you, then zombies come and get you. I don't think we quite have that animation yet in the game, but that is the idea with that. Then we'll
That's
have
awesome.
jetpacks and stuff like that. Yeah, and we'll run through the little trailer for the one up world. And in addition to that, so there's going to be land, but it's all affordable too. And what the key thing here is that you know. That like at least with one up, I can speak with this because I know personally in depth, is finding the proper way to, free to play, zero barrier to entry. That is the true path to adoption if you want people to play these games. If you don't have a free to play or a minimal buy-in, I think that you should just stop developing your game right now, honestly,
Yeah.
because nobody wants to pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get a thing so you can get your energies or do whatever. They want to be able to come in. If you can't grind it to earn it, or if
Hmm.
you can't just come in like, even with Web2 mobile games, there's whales there. There are whales like this guy from Diablo Immortal that paid $100,000. But most people are more apt to spend $5 to $10 one time, like on
Hmm.
a mobile game or whatever, a microtransaction. They'll spend that one time. So if we can cater stuff to where, like say you have an apartment in one up, which we'll see in the trailer here in a minute, and when I show you, and you have a lamp or a couch or whatever. If you're these are like small, like maybe 50-cent transactions, but those things add up over time, and even for a
Hmm.
creator, those add up over time. So it's just
Yeah.
finding a way to manage this with a minimal impact to your wallet and still make it fun and still make it profitable. And it's a tricky equation.
Yeah, for sure it is, and I mean, obviously, if it wasn't, we would have had somebody that's already, figured it all
Yeah.
out at this point. But I think also what you're talking about here is when you were going over like, the different ways to be able to interact with these games and make them that make money in them, to
Mhm.
make communities in them, do all these type of things. I think that even bridges. And I'm not going to talk about this a lot, but I'm really into the philosophical aspect of ownership in Web3, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
in my opinion, we're a long way down the road, but in my opinion, 20 years from now, the landscape of what we do for work and what we do for careers is going to look vastly different because
Absolutely.
everything is becoming animated and everything is becoming we can do things with robots and with technology that we never could before, and so a lot of these menial jobs are disappearing, right? And there has to be
Yeah.
something for people to do, right? And I think
Mhm.
that game
Mhm.
that blockchain presents a very interesting like answer to that problem, because a simple game like you're talking about here could literally with a player base could literally employ thousands of people. They could do things on there, they
Sure.
can develop, they can build guilds, they can do all these things. And I think that's where in the very very far future, I think that's where we're heading. And I think that it's really cool to think about moving our transactions as human beings, our work, what we do on a daily basis, into the digital world. And I mean, I find that fascinating. So
I do
that's just something.
too. Yeah, I do
Yeah,
too. I mean, I'm in a couple Web3 work DAOs, for freelance work, for copywriting and whatever. And I love the ability to be able to, go on the job board and find something that suits me and do
yeah,
work that way. It's great. And I think that we've also learned, after COVID, that this kind of stuff is definitely possible. Nobody wants to return to work. Everyone figured out, hey, we can do this. We can do this from home, or we can do
mhm,
this remotely. We can spend less time at the office, be more productive, you know. and
mhm,
and I think that COVID is bad as all it was with the lockdown. It showed us that there is definitely a different way that we can be functioning as a society on the whole, in the way that we approach our tasks and our daily living. And I think Web3 is the natural evolution for how we should function, as a culture, and where we put, our stock in as the way forward. So I'm
for
with you
for
there.
yeah, for sure. And like I said, I don't want to get into a philosophical debate on it, but I do think that that people have always scoffed at the idea of everyone being able to do something that they truly enjoy doing. Now I
Yeah,
would I would venture to say probably 90% of people don't even enjoy what they do career wise or for work, but
sure.
it's a societal necessity, right? And
Hmm.
and there is a future in Web3 and gaming and in other applications of Web3 that allow us to do things that we actually enjoy doing and that we're
Hmm.
good at doing. And so I think that's really cool, something to add into the
Yeah,
the whole narrative there. So
agreed.
another thing that I'd like to talk about is you spoke shortly on the culture, right? Changing the culture of the majority of Web2 gamers and game studios. They're completely against this idea of NFTs currently, right?
Hmm. Right.
And a lot of that has to do with some failings of some of the bigger games in Web3. A lot of that has to do with the very impatient nature of Web3
Yeah.
gamers and and
Yeah.
NF and just crypto enthusiasts in general. Just
Hmm.
the patience is not there. So I mean, which I find ridiculous because I back in the day I remember waiting 3-4 years for certain titles to come out,
Oh
and
man,
you
yeah.
know what I mean.
Having something on pre-order and just like
Oh gosh,
waiting
yeah,
for
waiting
that call from GameStop.
yeah, forever, man, forever.
Yeah.
So, but in your opinion, like what is it that we have to do to change that culture? Like what is it that we've got to present to the Web2 community to say that this is not an ecosystem of waste. This is not an ecosystem of money grubbing. This is a developing technology that's going to be good for everybody. Like, how do we change that culture?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where the proof's in the pudding. I think having like Doctor Disrespect on board with Midnight Society is going to go a long way for one, just because of
Yeah.
his simple notoriety.
Yeah.
So, if this happens and his game, becomes economically viable and makes sense as far as like their use of NFTs, just like that Harvest game I mentioned, they're on Steam Early Access, so they've done whatever new. I mean, I know Steam was completely anti NFTs, but then they kind of relaxed that policy a bit, saying that you can earn them and they will actually have things on Steam. So just as these kind of things creep in a little bit, they'll get there. And as the like I say, it really takes a lot of like thought policy, being thought leaders in the space, the people who are building in this space, all coming together, all putting on this combined effort to change the narrative in the public, and that means, beating down doors. I can't tell you how many times I've never got a reply. How many times I've emailed every single major gaming publication or online publication,
Uh-huh.
because they ran a dirt piece on one up, and put things really out of context. And every time you see like Kotaku, in the on Twitter, or any of their articles, they absolutely just completely bash NFTs, and they
Yeah.
won't and they will also not approve comments that make sense for people who are pro
Hmm.
blockchain gaming. So it's really slanted. I mean, look, it is going to be hard, but look, I mean, there are things like, I'm also super bullish on Phantasma blockchain. They are layer one gaming blockchain, Phantasma.io. For anyone who's not, familiar, one thing that they do right is that they are carbon negative. So they partnered with a company that sequesters CO2 out of the atmosphere and
Hmm.
prints mints carbon offset NFT. So they're already like carbon neutral. I think it took like enough power to run like 4 households for a year to run that entire chain.
Yeah.
But they purchased the offset tokens and now they're carbon neutral. So that beats right now. I mean, that beats a huge, it makes this non-starter issue with the environment. You can just like kiss that one goodbye. It sounds like, now what do you got for me now?
Hmm.
And I also like the games being built on there, but I think that there's a lot of games first mentality there, and just to go into Phantasma just a little bit, I think it's one of the best places to build. They've got a lot of great stuff going for them, a lot of great games and a lot of heart. But it's going to take changing the narrative. It's going to take getting out in front and getting some good media, and it's going to take a couple of good games. Just one or two good games can totally revolutionize everything. That's why I definitely, like I say, Midnight Society is probably the best case scenario for throwing some weight behind that with such a notable person to really like finally being like, because people got come around like, well, I know I can already see it. They'll be like, well, I guess it's not so bad. That's we kind
Yeah.
of whatever we can do to build towards that moment, collectively. And also, it's also about for game developers, getting out there to like places like the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco. Go to like typical Web 2 gaming conferences. Get on the expo floor. Get out there. Show people what you're doing. Show people like, hey, there is more to this. If you're legitimate, you shouldn't have any problem of explaining that, as far as like what you're doing and why you're doing it. That's
Mhm.
a big question. It's, why are you building a blockchain game? And for the people that can easily answer that, and say like, we're building a blockchain enabled game because we love gaming and it's fun and we see, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
those are the people. We got to come together, push that narrative and shape the future, because no one's going to do it for you. And it is an uphill battle right now as far as like winning over the mainstream market. But I also think mobile games are a good way or a good entry point to that as well. Not only do they have a quicker time to delivery and time to go launch and live, they're easier. There are some like very tried and true monetization routes that you can use as an example from free to play mobile games that you
Mhm.
can tweak a little bit and make work on the blockchain, just to show like, hey, this is the same thing you've already been doing. The only extra thing is, when you're ready, now you can make a wallet and you can own this stuff and sell it back, and it's just
Mhm.
making it as simple as possible. You don't want to like, it's almost like you almost have to obfuscate the whole blockchain thing, right?
Yeah.
And just make the game and make all the stuff work under the hood, and be like, by the way, when you're ready, you've been playing this free to play thing, you've been earning little awards and achievements and whatever. By the way, if you want to spin up a wallet and connect that to your custodial account that we've made for you, there's a deeper level that you can experience this platform or this thing, and that's how we're going to do it. That's how we have to do it.
Yeah.
You do it piece by piece. Education along the way is vitally important. I think that any game, every game has a tutorial, right? Y'all,
Mhm.
every game has a tutorial.
Yep.
Why not roll a little education in there as well? It's the same thing. Coinbase, you get $5 for answering a quiz or whatever. There's no reason that any of these blockchain enabled games are being published can't put something similar in there. To help people further their education. Which is one reason, by the way, I love Alpha Mutants, because you are education focused and it's a super clean server, and I absolutely love what you're doing, by the way. So yeah, just throw that out there. Big
Yeah.
shout
Yeah.
out to everything you guys have got going on.
Yeah, appreciate it. And
Hmm.
I think you hit a major point there. It's I think that one of the biggest disconnects is just understanding what blockchain is, because
Hmm.
even now in most parts of the country, in the US, and even around the world, for the average person, asking them what they know about blockchain technology or
Right.
cryptocurrencies, I mean, they're not going to give you anything more than a 3-year-old answer, right? Because the education just isn't there. And then
Hmm.
and it's also the I think it's also the immaturity of the space, because regardless what
Hmm.
anyone wants to say, I mean, we're not this isn't a mature space, right? We're very
No.
very
No.
early, and everything is so difficult. Just like in the early days of the internet, it's
Hmm.
so difficult to. I mean, when you really get into it, you're like, well, I want to play some games. I want to test out some games on blockchain. Well, okay, which blockchain do you want to test out games on? Oh, you want to do it on
Right.
BNB? Well, you got to have this wallet, and you got to have this type of knowledge to do that. Oh, you want to do it
Yeah.
on Ethereum? Well, here you go. Oh, you don't want to do those big
Yeah.
transactions? Well, you have to be connected with Polygon, right? So
Right.
there's this learning curve that the average person, if you're not really interested, I mean,
It's
you're not
it's a
you're not going to.
immediate. It's immediate. No.
Exactly. So I think that as we develop a onboarding system that is
Hmm.
simplistic, and that can even go in stages, like, here, just play the game, see if you like it. Okay, you
Right.
played the game. You played the game for 10 hours now. Hey, would you like to, create a wallet really quick? Takes 5 minutes, and then you can own your assets in the game.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Then
Right.
25 hours in. Well, let's explain to you really quick how this wallet connects to this
Sure.
blockchain or
Yeah.
whatever. And I think that is
Yeah.
really the Trojan horse that can really bring the mass
Sure.
adoption that
Absolutely.
everyone's looking for. You know what I mean?
Why not earn your first NFT character after a short education about how to create a wallet and what it does? If you've been
Yeah.
free to play, like, okay, here's your next step, ye adventurer.
Hmm.
Go read this scroll and
Yeah.
find out what you're doing. And then, oh, by the way, we're going to give you this big, beefy barbarian dude so you can go and kick ass, further on
Yeah.
in the game, right? I mean, like, it's not hard. It just takes a little extra effort. But that effort, that is the key to helping win people over, is definitely education in this space. And there's things like Blockchain Gaming Alliance. I know they were out at GDC, and I was actually honestly surprised that there was as much Web 2 and Web 3 presence at game developers conferences this last year.
Uh-huh.
It was actually really, really nice to see, and not only games, but actually like middleware solutions, providing like API or like live ops, or a lot of stuff that you need to help shortcut, but that path between Web 2 and Web 3 gaming, and just a lot of really great feature ads. So that was nice to see. I got to say, it was very promising. We also
But,
threw a keg party at the
oh
Phantasma
yeah.
booth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we invited everyone from Block 2 or Block 3 over for social. It was pretty successful.
That's pretty awesome, man. I love that, and I'm glad you brought up Phantasma because like one of the things I've thought about, I've really looked at, because I love the blockchain. I love that they're almost as I mean, they check off, like you said, they check off the box of that you
Mhm.
get so often of, well, they're not carbon neutral, and they're like that you get with any major blockchain these days. So I mean, I love that. I love the team. I love their where they're going and what their vision is. And
Yeah.
I actually most people would not agree. I mean, agree with me, because I believe they were at like what, like $3.75 or something like that at the peak,
Yeah, they're like
but
35 cents today, I think, right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But if you look at them compared to 99% of the rest of the gaming, crypto market, they are doing
Mhm.
fantastically well in comparison.
No,
So
they are. Yeah, they've been on an uptrend for the past few days now, and especially as we close in on hopefully unpausing the chain. They did have to pause the chain for a minute, but they've handled that extraordinarily. I mean, their presence, their transparency, and everything through all that. I couldn't honestly, I haven't seen that really anywhere else in the space. Even with big blockchains that have a slowdown or something really, really bad happen. I mean, they've been on top of this the whole time. Not only that, are they fixing it? They're making it better, which
yeah.
makes me extra super bullish.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and I just wanted to throw anyone out there that if you haven't looked into Phantasma, you really should, because there's fantastically interesting tech there. They have really good. I mean, if you're looking at charting or numbers, they have really good. I think currently they're at like a 35 million market cap or something like that.
Hmm.
But if you look at from their very peak to the bottom of the market, like I think they were down like 91%, which
Right.
is fantastic when you're looking at most of these games down 99.9,
Right.
whatever
Right. Right.
percentage.
Right.
So they have maintained some value in this, even in this drastic, downturn.
Yeah,
So I think
and
that's
there's also a lot of great things, like, they're fully diluted for one,
mhm. Yeah.
and they've got half of their tokens locked up in staking too.
Yep.
So there's a really, and as far as like, even if you wanted to be like a block producer and get in on the rewards there, it's really attractive, and a really solid proof of stake system that they've got going there, with the two token system and everything. So I mean, like, their fundamentals and their technicals are both on par, if you ask me.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So we got about 15 minutes left or so. So I think we wanted that you were going to let us see some demos, and maybe even some like play of a couple of the projects that you're working with here. Is that something you're ready to do right now?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna tell I got some of the crew waiting here. Hopefully, that they're gonna jump onto the demo. Let me share my screen, and we'll fire up one up. It may just wind up being myself jumping around there, but we'll see. I think I got a couple cats ready to go here. So let me just
Awesome,
share
awesome.
this. All right. Are you able to see this?
Yep, looking
Okay,
good.
so Yeah, one-up.fun, super easy to download the client. Just head to the website, click at the top right of the page. You'll take you to like the game zone is where you'll want to head next. We have Mac, OS, PC, and then there is also in like early access on Google Play. There's also a version for you to play there. Really simple. Right now, it's in beta. There's no monetization. These things, this is something where you want to measure. They say measure twice, cut once, but we're trying to. I
Yep.
think they're trying to measure about 10 times to make sure that
Yeah. Yeah.
that's it, right? Because I look, you don't get a second chance. So they're trying to, and what One Up is doing, quite frankly, is vastly different than what anyone else is. So making sure that's right is important. But right now there is a live beta to play, so it's really simple. You don't have to connect your wallet right now. You can just go down to sign up at the bottom, make a standard account. It's case sensitive, but let's see.
And can we link this in the video description so our people can
Oh,
they can actually look?
I'm running the wrong version. Sorry, I've got too many dev versions in my
Oh, you're
in
good,
my
man.
thing. I tell you what, we're gonna do instead. I will just fire up a recording that I
Okay,
have on the computer. We'll just do it like that. Um, let's see here. Give me just a second.
no problem. I was gonna ask you, is it okay if we link the links to the actual demo itself, like the beta and stuff, in the video here?
Yeah,
So
yeah, of course. Yeah,
okay, so
we can link everything up, most
sure.
definitely.
So anyone that wants to try out One Up, we'll have that link down below for you guys, so you can kind of test it out and just get some hands-on access with the beta there, and play around. So
All right, let's try this again here. Go ahead and share the screen. And where are you? Okay. All right. Are we seeing
yes,
the game
sir.
there now? Okay.
Yep,
So
there we go.
yeah. Anyway, but log in, select a character. You can create a room. But basically, like I said, this is super familiar gameplay. As you can see, you can do things like 1v1, 2v2, 5v5, team deathmatch, 10 to 100 player battle royale. It's fun, fast paced, 5 minute matches, easy to pick up and play. And it's exciting. We'll have different game types like grab the bag, where it's basically like you're trying to grab a bag of money. It's really
Yeah,
simple, but
yeah.
we're going to add in some other mechanics, race modes, things like that. There's 3 maps available. They even have day and night cycles. You can vote on the map that you want to play. The maps are a lot of fun. One of them, the castle map, I hate because I'm terrible because there's spikes and lava, and I always wind up killing myself before I can ever kill anybody else. But it's a source of great frustration for me. But like I said, some of the guys on here. But you know what? And it's actually hard. Like you have to learn the movement mechanics. There is a lot of skill. There's skill to like timing your power ups, because you can hold 2 power ups in reserve, so like when to deploy those and things like that. So it is a lot deeper actually than just running around and shooting each other in the face. We have a couple players that will absolutely wax you, and I'm talking
Yeah.
like really fast. So but yeah, so that's just a quick preview of that there. And I can show you also as well, let me switch to my browser here. We can kind of do the trailer for the One Up social metaverse. So this will be, a thing where we can have the character customization in, the first generation of NFTs they have designed. They're all meme related. So, there's like Elon and Vitalik, the Bog brothers, and a bunch of
Yeah.
like, famous Jeff Bezos, a lot of
Yeah.
notable characters. But then, like I said, also, and you'll see we use some for demo purposes only, because we showed like some of the PFP import stuff and what you can do there.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead and fire this up. Let's see. All right. Can you see the One Up logo on the screen? Nope.
Yes. Yep,
Okay,
we are
great.
good.
So here we go. And but then yeah, I could talk a little more about the customization. So this is Elon. This is kind of a way zoomed out version, but so this is going to be more like a GTA style environment, and you can see like the art is amazing. Everything's animated. It's just a fun place to earn and have fun. The subway actually works, which you'll see in a moment here. But so yeah, we'll have like land sales, but there'll be more apartments for people. You can enter your apartment. Let's see here. He should be going in here in just a second. Yeah, so this will be where you can do some of your customization.
Mhm.
And of course, we'll check assets, against your wallet to make sure you own the assets. But for demo purposes here, we've kind of we've kind of imported some stuff. Pop it on there. As you can see, like I was talking about, making like small accessories and things like that as a designer, putting those on the marketplace for small microtransactions. You'll be able to decorate your apartment however you like,
Mhm.
with different things like that. And there'll be some more, as you can see, like props and colliders and weapons. You'll have all that kind of inventory you can outfit your character with as well. And then, go back out. You can see the other guys flying around. There's the subway, which you will actually. This is all, by the way, this isn't just like concept. The guys wouldn't make this trailer until they actually built this out. So this is actual alpha state. Everything you see here actually works. It's not a mock up or anything like that, which is really cool. The guy that they hired to do the custom character thing, he was like, "Give me a challenge." We're like, "We need a custom character builder." And he came back 4 days later. He's like, "I'm done. Give me something else." We're like, "You're hired, man." But yeah,
Nice.
we got mechs, cars, the whole 9 yards. This is kind of the long form trailer, but let me just kind of skip up to a point here where it kind of shows. You can see some of the Elon there on the billboard. Here's kind of the level, drag and drop level editor kind of things, features going on that I was speaking about before. And even the coolest thing here, which I mean is massively cool. Um, so we've got your in-game rewards, but there are helicopters, and I think that right there, that is probably the most important factor. Because
Yeah.
I want to fly and shoot people, and as you'll see, there's also. Let me just kind of skip this forward a little bitty bit because it is long. But as you'll see here, we also have destructible environments in certain areas, which is really, really for a 2D game is really pretty freaking rad. So
Yeah.
yeah, super pumped on that. Been in stealth mode for about a year now. Like I say, trials and tribulations of game development, and it's hard. That's another thing. Keeping up with Web3 communities and things like that. It's very different. It's very different from launching a protocol and being like, okay, everything works. Let's yeah, but it's hard to like say, oh, you know what, guys, we ran into some massive bugs. We can't release the beta yet. We can't release the live state yet.
Yeah.
It's challenging. It's hard, but I think One Up is ready to kind of start busting out of stealth and coming up and showing the crypto gaming community what they've got. And there's a lot of heart there being put into this game, and yeah, I'm definitely behind it 100%.
Well, I think it's fantastic, man. I'm a huge fan of the several games I can kind of see like inspiration from. So I'm a
Hmm.
huge fan of Mario Maker. Like I love that. I love the ability to build the levels and do things like that,
Hmm.
which you kind of see some of that in there. I'm a big fan of like battle royale games like Smash Brothers. I've been there since the beginning.
Right.
Back on 64 and doing those type of things. And I love the kind of like almost like just the open atmosphere, like almost like a GTA type vibe on like the
Hmm.
second
Hmm.
video look. So I mean, I think it's fantastic. I think and it looks like something that you could get 4 or 5 of your buddies together with and do
Yeah.
that and it'd be fun to do. So I mean that's what we're looking for. Like that's what we're looking for in this space. I don't want to I have a bunch of scholars that play bomb crypto, right? And
Hmm.
as much as it, but, well, they're doing better now. They're doing some like actual play, but for the longest time, like it was just an idle game, and the idle game things were just
Yeah,
you get
man.
on the you can't have fun doing those things,
It's a
right? Like
slog,
yeah,
you
it
don't
is.
want
It's
that.
yeah, you gotta have a game to play. So I mean, I'm 100% with you on like I think you guys have done really well on doing something that is both fun and interactive. It has a social aspect. I think that's
Yeah.
that's fantastic. So
And it's just something you can play like in between a meeting or while you're waiting on the bus or whatever. It should be something that's fun, has a nice engagement loop, and doesn't take. I mean, there's some skill, but it's easy just to get on there and just, dude, fun's in the name, right? I mean, that's what it's all
yeah,
about. Yeah.
yeah,
If a game's not fun, why build it at all?
yep, 100%. Yep, we agree on that for sure. So what the, I we're coming in on about an hour here, so
Yep.
I want to try to wrap things up. But so number one, guys, anything that so what I'm going to do is besides for the regular links, like obviously Dr. Funk is in the Alpha Mutants Discord. So if you guys want
Genesis
to,
holder.
yeah, there you go. So if you guys want to, I'm hoping that so we're gonna be able to put these once we get the Genesis revealed, I'll be able to put those on my character, right? One up. That would
Yeah, I
be
mean that's exactly the idea. You know, and it
the,
also provides utility for projects who may not have a game, but like look, I mean like having like, your PFP behind you on a character, that's exactly
mhm.
the kind of thing that we're going for,
And that's awesome. I could because the funny thing is because with Web3, a lot of our team, like I know who these guys are in real life. They're all doxxed, right? But I recognize them by their PFPs, right? By their
For
alpha
sure.
PFPs.
Yep.
And so I mean it's almost like serendipitous that we could all be running around with our PFPs, playing this one up game. It just makes sense, right? So it's cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so if you guys want to talk to Dr. Funk, he's in the Alpha Mutants Discord. I'll go ahead and have him link his social medias also. So if there's any questions you have or comments or anything that you want to get into, for sure do that. If you have any questions for him specifically, put them on the video here. We'll get back to you guys with anything that you have there that we can answer. And then besides for that, though, we will have I'll go ahead and link down below where you guys can try out the one-ups. And maybe link a video link or two if you guys want to check those out again.
Yeah, sure.
Have all that stuff there down below. So
We could
again,
organize a little gameplay night too for the Alpha
yeah,
Mutants community. Yeah.
for sure that'd be fantastic. I would love to start getting some stuff like that going on. I'm sure we got a lot of gamers in there. And I think the Web3 space in general has a lot of gamers. We're a lot of nerds and we just like technology, and so it's a cool thing to go on. But
Yeah.
so before we jump out of here, I'll tell you, I told you guys that all the links are down below. Please like and subscribe to the account. Just helps us get do these weekly videos for you guys, talking to interesting people, founders, developers, doing weekly updates on the market. So if you like it, please, share our videos, like and subscribe. But I'll let you take us out, Dr. Funk. You got any final thoughts or anything that you want to leave any of the listeners with about
Ooh.
blockchain gaming in the future? Give us some
Oh
words of
man,
wisdom.
just like boy, the pressure right now.
Yeah,
I don't
sweating a
know.
little bit.
Yeah, sweating a little bit. Look, at the end of the day, it's about community, it's about collaboration, and it's about pushing this space forward together. We can't, as like a single game publisher, we can't do it alone. Like like you want to come one up for a partnership and just mutual support, do some mutual AMAs and Twitter Spaces and stuff like that. Come on, bring it on, because that's the only way we're going to get there. Is really by working together and as a collective unit of people developing in this space. Doesn't matter if you're working on a shoestring budget of $100,000. Doesn't matter if you're working on a budget of $15 million. I think that the most important thing is to as a niche of a niche of a niche industry, we all got to stick together and build it together, and it is the way forward, and we will get there together. That's what decentralization is all about, right? Anyway, right? We lift each other up. That's the whole point, if you ask me. So just keep on keeping on.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
One
I
vibe,
agree.
one tribe, baby.
Exactly. And as much as it gets fudded, we all. I think anyone that's still in the space during this market and still developing, I think we really all can make it in this space. It's so young. There's so much opportunity, and we can build such amazing things. So,
Yeah.
again, thank you, Dr. Funk. It's been really
Thanks
fun.
so much for having me. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's been fantastic. And you guys, every Thursday we drop a video, just like this with cool people in the space, get you some information, get you some education. So I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.